More Vampire Coast so soon, and in Domination nonetheless. You wouldn't think that a ranged heavy faction like Vampire Coast would be great on a map like Grove of Slaughter, which generally favors melee infantry, but up against Kislev, as long as I don't spam too many Tsar guards, I'm fairly confident that my depth guard should be able to hold on to this center objective. Up against Turin here, let's take a look at the starting armies real quick. I've got Noctilus, 3 dual weapon depth guard, and the Bloody Reaver Regiment of Renowned Polearm depth guard. Got 3 gunnery mobs with pistols to back them up, and 1 bomber mob across the field for Kislev. Kostaltine leading the way. We've got a big elemental bear here, Frost Maiden of Ice, a couple of light war sleds, it looks like some Kossars, armored Kossars already moving in. Let's go ahead and get to the reserve armies. In my reserves, I've got 3 Sirens, the Regiment of Renowned Black Spot Zombie Handgun, a couple of deck dropper handguns, 4 scurvy dogs, 2 bloats, and 4 fell bats. One thing to note about the fell bats, I think it's a little bit of an oversight or a bug. They have Vanguard deployment for Vampire counts, but not for Vampire Coast, so look for that to get updated in Immortal Empires. Anyway, back to Kislev's army. 1 Griffin Legion in reserve, 3 Winged Lancers, 2 Snow Leopards. We've got 2 Kossars with spears, 4 Crossfight Dervishes, and 1 Ice Guard with dual swords. And now we'll get straight to it. So, Grove of Slaughter, really interesting map. You can pretty much guarantee that the center is going to be a melee infantry brawl. So it's actually a really good map for elite infantry, as long as they're not going to get nuked by magic. That's the one threat that's still definitely present. But cavalry charges, monstrous units, you know, chariots, stuff like that aren't going to be able to operate very efficiently in this big forest and center, unless they happen to have woodsmen. So like beastmen, wood elves, right, get a special advantage on this map potentially. But we're going to get a nice bear sled charge into the side of the woods here. Noctilus responds with his halberd, and of course, these are just light war sleds. Only 50 armor means the huge weapon damage of these dual hand weapon depth guards should be able to punch back very hard if they do stay in combat for too long. So Turin very wisely immediately pulls away there, but of course, pistol mobs can fire while advancing. They're going to get a few nice cheeky volleys here onto those light war sleds in the distance. Meanwhile, over on the far side, Kostaltine just maneuvering up, securing this area. You can see Turin not wanting to engage with the Elemental Bear and the Frostbane. Definitely smart to just not take this engagement here in the center. The armored Kossars can open up with their pistols through the woods, so a lot of those shots are going to get blocked by trees, and we're going to pop the Regiment of Renown ability here. I forget the name of it. Enrage. Funny. Just gives a little bit of a ward save there. 40% damage resistance. I say a little bit. That's pretty significant. That plus the trees means they're going to take basically no damage in that engagement. So we'll be able to just maneuver in with the depth guard on the side and get a nice charge in here. Let's get close. The armored Kossars attempt to pull away. Not the biggest fan of the animations of Depth Guard, even though they are a very, very cool unit. They look amazing, but animations are just a little bit wild for me. I mean, I get their vampires are supposed to have, like, superhuman speed and strength and everything, but yeah, they're going to do a number on those armored Kossars, though. You can see the armor does not help much there at all. 80 armor definitely doesn't do a lot against 70-plus weapon damage. Brought in some Sirens and some Scurvy Dogs. The dogs are getting clobbered by chariots, but they're actually punching back with a little bit of force here. And of course, Sirens, they're not fully, well, they didn't get the full ethereal treatment. They still got Charmed instead of Frostbite, although it would be nice for Vampire Coast to get some access to Frostbite. We'll talk more about that later. Of course, they've got more health, but less physical resistance now, as all ethereal units do. We're going to get them into the light war sleds here and try and finish them off. Macro in some more dogs. So inputting a lot of resources onto this side objective to try and win. Going to do a nice overcast bit of shades here just to one-shot these Winged Lancers. Not the best in terms of value trade per magic, but just generally wanted to tactically get rid of them as soon as possible. Really just decisively win out on this front. Bombers moving in there, just wrecking those armored Kossars, but I'm definitely taking a lot of damage from the return fire of those armored Kossars. Their pistols and shields definitely trading very nicely against my own pistol zombie mobs, so definitely an interesting matchup. Kislev versus Coast. Both factions have some really nice tools here. The armored Kossars in particular, in my experience, have proven very, very helpful against ranged factions that, again, shield and the pistol counter-ranged fire Just so efficient in a number of situations. Elemental Bear here comes in, gets tangled up in the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard. They're going to get frostbitten, so it should be able to pull away very easily. I mean, between the Frostbite and the Chilling Aura, they're going to be down in speed significantly. No problem maneuvering away there, and the Ice Guards, nice pick there from Turin. Ice Guards, very interesting. They're going to move up and try and provide a little bit of range cover. That being said, I'm bringing in some more units here. Yep, looks like some Scurvy Dogs up on the side. We're going to get these Depth Guards swinging up and around, these Depth Guard moving up to the center. I'll pop that Enrage perhaps once it's off cooldown, get the ward save once again. Meanwhile, Constantine pushing with his light war sleds. They get caught up, though, in the Depth Guard and just absolutely taken out. At least the sleds do. Constantine, of course, is going to continue fighting. I'm going to just force path the Depth Guard past him, try and get at that objective, going for a greedy triple cap at this point if I can. I'm going to make a pretty big mistake, though. You guys already saw in my army I didn't have any low-tier defensive units. I'm going to bring in these Sirens and macro them over to the side, but really at this point I should bring in like 1 or 2 zombie polearms just to come defend this objective from a light cavalry counterattack, you know, to try and retake that objective from me. A little bit of camera glitching there. I apologize about that, guys, but we'll get in close. It's like the Ice Bear looking to line up a nice side-shotting breath attack, perhaps. Nope, just going to go in straight for a charge. Definitely would have been great to get a devastating breath attack right down that line there, but instead just going for a straight-up attack, trying to block those Depth Guard, but no question they are going to get into the Ice Guards, so icy depths here in this engagement as they both whack at each other with their dual weapons, but of course the Depth Guard, much superior melee unit, no question about that. If we zoom over to the other side here, Constantine and Noctilus locked into a duel to the death here. Of course, Noctilus with his anti-large AP will trade very well here, but Constantine is not a pushover by any means in terms of defensiveness. He gets, you know, stronger the more HP he loses, especially with a full kit like what he's got here with the Urson's Ward. Let's see, did he actually bring any of the other abilities? Maybe that's just the only one. Anyway, Urson's Ward. Oh yeah, and the heal, of course. Oh, that is the heal. Yes. Flaming attacks as well also reduces the healing that I'm getting from my stuff, which is just great. And I didn't realize this, but I don't know if they changed this at some point recently or if he always had magical attacks, but Constantine does actually just have magical attacks baseline, which is going to come in handy against my blob of Sirens here. Definitely did not realize that. But you'll see him come in here and get a few nice attacks. Meanwhile, another Pit of Shades here going to be unleashed on this blob as my Depth Guard get rear charged. Came in here and did quite a bit of damage, but we're still not able to fully secure this objective. Turin's doing a great job defending. It's bringing in tons and tons of resources. Speaking of which, over on the far side, I've almost got enough capture weight here to seize this objective. We just about got it locked in, and there it goes. Now the Depth Guard need to turn around and start charging those Kossars, just taking some really cost-inefficient damage right there. But we'll get them moving, no doubt, in just a moment here. Just countercharge those light war sleds. The Hounds and the Depth Guard together both take significant damage, but look at the damage on those light war sleds, too. That is pretty interesting. Bloody Reaver Depth Guard also mostly opposed at this point as we bring in some more Scurvy Dogs. And the nice thing about the Depth Guard, of course, with the Hunger, being vampiric units, they've got the Hunger, they're going to get a nice regeneration spike when they're in melee. So as long as they continue fighting here, we should be all good to go. And it looks like, did I get some kind of heal there? Yeah, long range, no? Invocation of Nehek, perhaps? I thought maybe something there. Anyway. Yeah, that would have been exceptionally long range, I guess. But anyway, back over on the other side here, nice little frost breath on those Sirens. Another rear charge from some Winged Lancers. It's the foul Shades. Not Shades, but you know what I mean. Constantine's Bear just mauling. Wow, some great sound effects there as it just smacks some doggos around. Poor little Scurvy Dogs. Definitely did not deserve that, but Noctilus here, trying to finish off the Ice Maiden. not going to help the Sirens much. Again, I totally forgot and didn't realize, actually, until this cast that Constantine had magic damage, so he's going to wreck those Sirens. I was wondering why. I was like, man, he must just have a lot of weapon strength. And the mistake I mentioned earlier from a build and macro perspective, not having anything defending the center objective, Turin's able to just push in here with a couple of cheap light cavalry and easily take that objective. And I was on the path perhaps to a triple cap, or at the very least to a comeback with 2 objectives in my favor and still plenty of time left. But with that center objective out of my hands and without a very good ability to respond quickly, it's going to be tough for me to get back in this game, but we'll see. I'm going to bring these scurvy dogs up, bring some of these depth guard up. You can see I've kind of panic brought a couple of fast infantry in from the back. They had an attack order here on these units, but when the units got hidden, they actually dropped the order, unfortunately. Definitely should have just had a move order there. It's going to cost me some precious time. It's definitely something I don't have a ton of here. Noctilus also just fails in his attack, mostly to capture this objective, which I've committed a lot of resources here in terms of macro and micro, and just not being able to actually ever take this objective has put me behind on the power curve, and just before I was able to even come back within comeback range, again, this center objective gets taken from me. So we're going to attack here, try and take this back if I can. Still got a little bit of time left, but, I mean, it's really getting quite close at this point. I would just barely be on the line of needing a full 3 cap. It's like, yeah, very close. But at this point, things are getting further and further out of reach the more time goes on. So definitely kicking myself a little bit, and this is one of the problems of myself switching back and forth. I think I might be the only content creator consistently doing both every day, land battles and domination, and while it's great, it's been amazing for my channel, been doing crazy numbers recently, at least, you know, from my perspective, in my frame of reference. I mean, it's tricky to switch back and forth, definitely. Some really nice frost blades here, a great buff there, and all the buffs from Constantine as those Sirens get hammer there. No frost blades, actually. It looked like the effect for frost blades, but the Sirens just get pummeled anyway and absolutely wrecked. The depth guard are able to come in here and at least establish a little bit of a presence, but again, too little too late, as at this point I would definitely need a full 3 cap to win, and there's just no way I'm capping that center objective in time. And even this side objective also, I'm definitely not going to be able to cap in time with those Kosovo dervishes getting into combat now. So, tricky situation for sure. Definitely, I feel like I had the tools to win here. And even if I, you know, didn't have the low tier, like, zombie halberds to bring onto this center objective, even just sending, like, 1 Siren or, you know, something else just to defend this space and not allow those light cavalry to come in and easily capture it, could have won. But again, learning experience. Definitely need to just remind myself every single time to take a couple of defensive units just to hold side objectives from Turin's light cavalry. That being said, the depth guard, crazy good performance. You know, it's one of those things where depth guard for a long time, I mean, when they were first released, they were definitely OP. Then they were nerfed into the ground and never really found a great place. I mean, occasionally they would see some niche use, but definitely in domination, especially on maps like this, where you can be safe from a lot of ranged, or against factions, I don't know, against Khorne or Slanesh, for example. I think these guys just die in melee. We'll see. But against some other factions, Nurgle, perhaps, they could do a pretty decent job in holding out, holding on to an objective. Against some other factions, perhaps, even like Warriors of Chaos, or in other matchups where you can generally take out their ranged units, or even going for a very melee-centric approach with a lot of bats and dogs and then depth guard to hold objectives against lighter factions could actually be fairly viable. Need to play Vampire Coast more in Domination in C, but depth guard did a crazy good job here. Definitely very impressed. Granted, this map is pretty ideal for them against a lot of factions, and Turin didn't take any Zargard with great weapons here, which definitely would have been a direct counter. I haven't tested them myself to see, but I would imagine that the Zargard great weapons just win outright against everything except maybe the Bloody Reaper depth guard, and even then they probably still win. Hard to say, but regardless, the armored costs are still a pretty decent choice. Definitely agree with the shield and the ranged attack, although on this map I might have switched it up a little bit. Light war sleds also, great job there. The thing about Coast is Crab's really the only high mass unit you can use to stop up the chariots, so weirdly enough, it's actually kind of a good pick. I don't know, though. They are fairly low HP, and in like a pitched land battle against tons of range fire, they might not work out too well, but definitely did a great job here. And again, them being anti-infantry means they're great against those Hound-type units as well, so definitely a fun one. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching that. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.